Hello, friends. Good afternoon. So the second session of the CAT 22 is done. The afternoon slot, 12:30 to 2:30, has been completed. We are discussing the analysis for that particular paper. Let's see about that. First, let's talk about the paper in general. Between this year and last year, we don't have any changes in the question number. The blueprint of the question remains the same. There's 24 questions in the first section, 20 questions in the second section, 22 questions in the third. A total of 66 questions, 40 minutes time for each section, a total of 120 minutes or 2 hours. Now, interestingly, there are other changes. There are surprises in the paper. We've seen traditionally that the second slot and the third slot are comparatively tougher than their previous slots. But this year, we had more of a tough paper, at least in the VARC section, in the first slot, in the morning slot. This slot, the second slot, was comparatively slightly easier. The passages were not that unexpectedly dense. They were similar to last year's paper. The overall difficulty was medium. The LRDI section was tough, as expected, as it was in the last year also, but the toughness was again similar to the last year's paper. The quant section was slightly tougher than last year. The difficulty overall was medium. In the quant section, the mix of questions has changed slightly. Overall, the paper was medium to tough. Comparatively, again, it was slightly tougher than last year. A few factors, especially the surprise in the first section and the different mix of questions in the second section, would make this a little bit more tough than the previous year. Now, let's talk about the first section. In the reading comprehension, we had, again, the same number of questions, 4 questions per passage, 4 passages, that's 16 questions. The passages and the questions were moderate to tough. The general breakup here is much more similar to what we had expected from last year. It was 2 easy to medium passages, 1 medium to tough passage, 1 tough passage. In terms of the passages, there was 1 passage on music. There was 1 passage on philosophy, but it was a little difficult, so many students have opted out. Even in the morning session, we had a philosophy passage which talked about Stoicism, so that most people have skipped because the language was very difficult, very complex. It was jargon-based. There was a passage which dealt with engineers and their social skills. And it said that engineers have skills such as technical skills, which they are very strong with. So that is one area where they conquer, but they lack social skills because they have more of a lean towards technical skills. There were suggestions that skill should also be developed. There was one passage which talked about animals, various animals. It seems like there was mention of ostriches and octopi, and different species were compared. So overall, these were doable passages. One would be too hard to do in the context of the exam, but the rest were doable. If passage selection was done well, then students might have pulled off 3 passages with a decent number of questions and with a good amount of accuracy, a good figure of accuracy. By that count, and still keeping in mind the surprise that was in the VA subsection, we would say that for this particular slot, the percentile cutoffs are expected to be similar to last year. That said, let's move on to the VA section. In the verbal section, we already are familiar. We would have seen we've seen the analysis of the first section, the first slot. There were no odd man out questions. There was a question which was kind of a fill in the blanks. It gave certain opinions, but then what you had to do was find out which statement fit at a certain point in the passage. So it was something of a go-between of para-completion, a very old system of questions, and CR questions. So a para-completion CR combination, a new kind of question was formed, and this replaced the odd man out, the odd statement out questions completely. There were 2 questions of this new type. Other than that, there were 3 summary questions and 3 para-jumble questions. The para-jumbles were 4-liners as expected. And both of these, the two areas where you had three questions, summary and parajumbles, it was roughly the same. There were two questions which were medium, moderate, which could be answered. They had somewhat more straightforward options, one question each, where in the summary the language was dense. In the parajumbles, the questions were a little bit more generalized, so it was a little bit more difficult to finalize the sequence, or to get the sequence of statements exactly. The overall difficulty of this, with the surprise questions in mind, was medium to tough, and the only the parajumble questions were theta. So the new type of question that had statements in the options, it was not a theta based question. So with that said, overall, we are expecting that at least for this slot, the percentile cutoffs would be similar to last year, maybe just a few points above, or maybe just a few points below. Not exactly very different. So there you have it. That's the first section analyzed. Now I'll hand over the screen to Joyanto sir for the analysis of the LRDI section, and he will pass it on to Avinash sir for the analysis of the third section. Here it goes. Over to you, my friends.
Good afternoon, students. Now, today it is the CAT 2022 Slot 2 exam analysis. And in this particular section, I want to discuss about this LRDI segment of this CAT. I am Joyanto Saha from Erudite Kolkata. Now, after this discussion with students, those who have given this exam and the entire idea about this one, we can say that the segment of LRDI, it is exactly similar like first lot. In our first lot already we have mentioned that four sets of 5 questions each, total 20 questions, as simple like that. So as per these all 4 sets, the difficulty level, students need to make a choice and they need to answer. But without the proper practice, it would be difficult for students to go into that. If we go to the detailed part of it, I have some kinds of idea about these sets. I want to share with you that in our first slot, roads and network, one of the set it appeared, but it is not there in our slot 2. But in case of slot 2, I can see that one DI set has appeared. DI set, one number, it has appeared, and it is considered as easy. So people, those who can take this one, it would be better for them. Here are some basic kinds of cost and revenue wise, x-axis, y-axis, some kinds of plot, and these informations it has been given. Ultimately, it would be doable, DI set. But other 3 are LR sets. And out of that LR sets, one of it is difficult one, but cells and some kinds of informations given these in these particular LR set, wherever some sales data of some of the people, and they are hour of operations, 3 variables, but one of the very important thing, the data was much less, so the people just cracking this particular set, it was very difficult. However, out of that, the entire LRDI segment, one set with that DI people need to do, and if they can do anyone else, it would be definitely better for them. Still, I can call it that this is a tough section, and always this is the in CAT, it is this tough section, slightly tougher than 2021. It is our first cut idea, we can say. So basically around 30, if it is the score anyone can make, like 10 plus questions if attempt and that one right, we'll get 99 plus percentile in the segment of DI.
Hello everyone, my name is Avinash. I'm a quantitative trainer in Erudite, Kolkata. So I come up with the second slot analysis of CAT examination 2022. We have already done the analysis of the first slot. So now I come up with the analysis of the second part. So guys, after after the discussion with the many of the students, and afterwards with the many of the faculties and other sources, we come up with the analysis of the today's quantitative aptitude part. So again, as per the previous slot number 1, there were 22 questions. This slot also we have in the 22 questions from the quantitative part. Again, the more weightage has been given to the arithmetic section. There are around 8 to 9 questions from the arithmetic part. So very important. Algebra, then there are 5 to 6 questions from the algebra itself. Geometry, we find out 2 to 3 questions. Number system, a few students didn't find any question from the number system, but after words with the other students, they found one question from the number system. That's why I put out here 0 to 1 questions. Higher maths, we got 2 questions. Miscellaneous, we have 2 questions. So overall, there are 22 questions. From the arithmetic, guys, we have different kinds of questions from the different sections. We have this time we have a question from the time and work in the slot number 1. We didn't have the time and work questions. In this slot we have a we have a question from the time and work, and that was easy one. It's kind of question like, say, A works the entire work in D number of days, and kind of. TSD is not very difficult. Easy question came from TSD. We got the question from the mixture allegation. We got the question from the average. So more or less, in the arithmetic, we got the question 1 or 2 from the each and every important topics. Now come up with the higher, higher maths. We got the question from the probability as well as permutation combination. In the previous slot number 1, there were no question from the probability, but this time we come up with the probability question and the permutation combination question. We got a very easy question from one easy question from the permutation and combination, and more or less geometry 3 questions, around 2 to 3 questions, and that one or were the moderate one. So overall, guys, if I have to say about the level of difficulties, so I am going to tag it as a easy to moderate paper with respect to the previous year papers, right? So many of the students have attempted a good number of questions. Now moving forward. Now in this one, I come up with the cutoff for the approx cutoff score for the 99 percentile. The score, the students who are looking for the 99 percentile, more or less they have to score in this range. So VARC again a difficult section this year. So I'm putting it as a 39 to 42 as a score for the 99 percentile. LRDI again tricky one, difficult. So here you have to in between, you have to score in between 31 to 34. Quantitative aptitude, not very difficult. So the score, this score range should be higher. So it is from 38 to 41. So overall, if you want to be into the 99 percentile, then you have to score from 102 to 105. So this is all about a small discussion, a small analysis of the today's second slot. Be in touch with us. We are going to come up with the slot third analysis as well. So this is a CRIPS analysis. In the future, we are coming with the entire detailed analysis of the exam. Thank you very much. Good luck.